Alright guys, so this is the Discord master beta. Yeah, I think this is intentionally done. And this is a video by Pathra. She does some drama content, or she highlights some drama content that some of her viewers sent to her, and kind of tells or talks about these stories that she reads through. And this one is something that connects perfectly to what we talked about last week with all the topic about the community being so toxic or being so evil behind some curtains. And I personally don't have many experiences with the RP community, but this year is crazy. And I don't want to put any dirt to what people love playing in this game or that enjoy doing this sort of content here. But it's really threatening sometimes. And I feel like we should be aware of what's happening behind closed doors inside of Final Fantasy XIV, and that people can take it too far. It's still a game, and you still have to be aware that connecting to other people and talking to other people affects your real life as well. So always remember that. So let's go and start this video here.
I have been playing Final Fantasy XIV off and on since my friend convinced me and some of our friends, including my then spouse, to play with her back in 2019. I created a Zayla Paladin, as I'm main Paladin in World of Warcraft. So Zayla is an Aura clan or tribe. After doing a few quests, I realized it wasn't to my liking, as it was different from the Paladin in WoW. I decided to try out White Mage and another character on Balmung. Unfortunately, after some time later, my spouse left me and I started playing with my best friend more. As he is not into RP in Final Fantasy XIV, we just did quests and leveled together. After some time, my friend and I joined a Discord server that we were invited to by a mutual friend. In this Discord, I met Leon. After talking for some time, Leon mentioned that they ran a Final Fantasy XIV Discord and the FC on his main on Mateus, and he also had an alt on Balmung. They asked me to join their FC, so I decided to transfer one of my characters onto Mateus. As I was transferring my character, another member in the Discord named Jay asked me to join their RPFC, but this one was on Balmung, which was good because I still had my Mikote White Mage on Balmung. Jay ran a RPing FC that was about a family that was exiled from Sui no Sato due to messing with forbidden magic and were now living in Eorzea.
Now listen.
FC included Jay and his 4 spouses, who I will give Lion King female names to.
Oh man.
Yara, Nala, Sarabi, and Zira. Jay told me his character was very xenophobic, and especially towards Zayla. So xenophobic is hating, disliking, or having prejudice against people from other countries, just in case some people don't know. After hearing this, I was worried and asked Jay if it was going to be a problem since I am a Mikote.
But yeah, so far you can imagine how that ends, right? Having 4 people that are attracted or connected to one person might be a problem, right?
He reassured me it was not going to be a problem.
Yeah, happy family,
I shouldn't
exactly.
worry about it. He also told me I should come up with a backstory for my character. After some time, I whipped up my character's backstory, which is as follows. Orphan Mikote, who grew up in a super religious village in the mountains, raised by her grandparents. After the death of her grandparents, she became depressed and didn't know what to do until an adventurer came to their village one day and shared stories of their travels and adventures. She became inspired and begged the stranger to teach her, and the stranger agreed. After 2 rough months of training hard, she became a white mage and decided to set forth to Ul'dah to help people, and that is how she came into the FC. The OP said that they got a little bit carried away with the backstory. Sorry, LOL. I do not mind. I think it was great. So my role in the FC was the midwife to the spouses when they would have children, as well as care for their injuries. I usually RP'd with Leon, as we were both RPing staff of the family, and honestly, not much more for us to do otherwise. Leon also had a side RP with Nala, who was also friends with Jay and one of his spouses. Nala's main character was Leon's sister, and got him into pit fighting. I would now and again tag along to heal Leon and whoever else needed help. So fast forward a few days, and Leon had to go out of town. We were all hanging out at the FC, and Jay ran up to me in Coral Beach briefs, Speedos, and nearly cornered my character next to the bath. I burst out laughing and said, "You must have not seen me down here, as I am the smallest height allowed." Later that day, Leon and I had a heart-to-heart and planned for RP when he got back into town. The next day, I ran into Jay while doing a few things. It was raining, and he pulled out an umbrella and offered to make some tea for us, which I thought was nice, since drinking tea in a dry room is better than standing out in the rain. After talking for a while, he brought up that my character has never been on a date and offered to take her out on one. Staying in character, I questioned this, as it didn't seem like normal behavior for a boss. He shrugged the question off and said, "Every woman should get to feel like a princess." I thought about it and said yes to the date. And he got all excited and shouted, "We shall go at once." We went to the Culinarians Guild HQ in Limsa, to which he bought a bottle of red wine, even though my character doesn't drink and doesn't have a tolerance for alcohol. And later, we went to a hot spring. He handed me a bathing suit, and when I asked where his bathing suit was, he said, "Oh, I forgot mine." So he stayed over on the banks in his full armor of gold.
Yeah, sure.
I asked him why he was acting weirdly, and as I finished that sentence, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me towards him and kissed me. One thing led to another, and we ended up being intimate after he pushed me against a rock. Where's the consent?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, the consent is actually very important. Let's read one important comment here. There is something we talked about when we did the RP parody. What Jay did was called God modding. And this is when you have control not only on your character, but also with the other character who roleplays with you. For example, when Jay threw her to the rock and proceeded to do dirty things to her, before she responded if she's willing, consenting to be thrown to the rock and other things. This is a big no-no and a red flag, and is prohibited in most RP groups because it's caused discomfort and you're supposed to control your character only, not others. So that's the big point here. Cultivated role player doesn't do something like that.
The next day,
it's getting crazy.
Jay pulled me into a voice call and said, "Well, I messed up. We need to retcon this, as this is something my character wouldn't do." He made it seem like I seduced him and caused all these issues, as he told the other players who played his spouses he slept with the doctor, which led to Kiara and Zira complaining and then leaving. I offered to Fantasia to arraign the other Aura clan, as I wanted to not just retcon my character. In hindsight, I should have. I fantasized about becoming another one of the spouses, as I don't like being the cause of drama and conflict, and my character would not have just had a one-night stand. I went ahead and fantasiaed. That evening, Leon logged on his Hrothgar alt to duel Zack. All right, who the hell is Zack? And he joked about spending time with my character if he won. He said all this in front of Jay.
You're right, non-existent.
Since he was there, and Jay always invited all of his spouses to watch him possibly duel also. Jay got defensive and said, "That's my spouse!" To which Leon was a bit upset, as it was out of left field. Leon beat Jay easily, to which Jay wanted a rematch, this time on Balmung, so he could switch to his alt.
They
Leon
do
returned on his
for
Balmung
this, right?
alt, saying that if he won, he wanted to take my character for a walk. Jay agreed and lost again. So my character and Leon went on a walk, and that's all it was. When I got back from my walk, Jay was upset and didn't talk to me. When Jay finally opened up days later, he told me he was afraid of losing me, which confused me. Guys in my chat, you guys are so funny. Okay, let me focus this some more. I'll read the comments later. When Jay finally opened up days later, he told me he was afraid of losing me, which confused me as the walk was just a walk, nothing more. He then announced he just wanted the other spouses, Nala and Sarabi, with him doing a ceremony with one, returning his ring and marrying the other.
Now hold up.
I said, shouldn't you marry Nala since you have been with her longer and have known her since childhood? My questions fell on deaf ears, and as I stood there, he turned to me and handed me the bracelet that starts the eternal bonding questline. In hindsight, it was a bad idea as I overlooked all the red flags he was giving off. After taking it off of him, he said I was now pregnant, and I agreed. Woo! Pregnant? Damn! Just like that. Jay had my character and his RP the whole quest and walked to every single place with frequent breaks as he wanted some time with my character. So by the time we finished all the parts to set up the ceremony, my character was feeling symptoms of the pregnancy. Leon decided to leave the FC after the way he was treated the same day my character and his had a deep RP and had me in tears IRL. Leon was the first guy she ever had feelings for and was her protector. Losing him made her feel alone and vulnerable. The ceremony goes off, and as I put together some vows on the spot, as to me, it was no big deal. There were paragraphs at the end screaming in the chapel, "I love you," to my character. A few days later, Jay took my character to where they were to have their honeymoon, and we were in a Discord voice call and RPing. When Jay said he would be right back, he either intentionally or forgot that he was not on mute, and I heard him performing a sex act.
Oh no. Shit.
Moaning my character's name, I was thinking, I am not that good of a role player.
Oh, shit.
And stayed on call in a bit of confusion and shock. Later, he came back and realized he wasn't on mute and acting like it was an accident. I took his apology, and that is when he asked if we could date. What a gentleman.
Exactly.
I stated, I thought you were in a relationship with the person playing your first spouse, as I was told by Leon when he sensed Jay's intention during a Discord call. Jay said he and the other person decided they were better off as friends. He kept asking and nudging until I relented and said sure. He quickly told me he loves me, which makes me want to run in the opposite direction as I need to know someone before I develop an attraction, and a few glances on camera via Discord voice call isn't enough.
Even though he thought he would be muted, or he intentionally did so. I don't know. We don't know. The thing is, if you're confused about, are we talking about the people behind those characters now, or are we talking about the characters in their role-playing connections and environment still? I don't know myself, and that's the problem here. I think that's the main problem here, and I think these boundaries are getting disconnected so quickly, and sometimes people are establishing these role-playing situations just as a reflection of themselves. So be careful what you do in role-playing, because that can easily swap over to your real life. If your connection to your real world is loose somewhere, or if you don't feel very well connected with the people around you, or anything like that. I don't know. It could also just be you really like somebody in the game, in the way that they speak and the way they act or play with you. It's really hard to know somebody just for playing a game. You might have a fraction of the player's personality there, but it's just not the whole picture. And that's very, very important to know. And it's very dangerous. But yeah, let's go through. It gets better, even better. Not better than the Discord scene maybe, but it's getting better still.
So as my birthday was in 2 weeks, He wanted to do all these big things for me, such as drawing my character and wanting to buy me stuff on Steam. I thought the art was enduring, but I don't like people throwing money at me, and I feel incredibly guilty when people do. This continues while at the same time, he also wants to, I see, in character, claim my Mateus character is a sailor. Okay, so he wanted to claim the OP's Mateus character, which is a sailor, which she pointed out as they would slice you on sight, as she has no qualms about it. And you supposedly hate Sayla. Why are you making moves on her too? Jay wanted my character to do things with the other spouse, Nala, as he watched. Damn, Jay! Jay's a dog! As you could guess, the RP sessions with Jay were getting rough. Sorry.
Jeez. How cringe can you go?
With my character, who in story was pregnant with twins, finding Jay flirting with another female Rain outside of the city he was allegedly exiled from, I questioned Jay, who said the person was a friend, and proceeded to throw my character against a rock and have very rough RP session with her. This culminated with the day before my birthday, talking with Leon privately on his server about some things I mentioned, as well as how I was truly feeling as I felt pressured and felt out of control of both characters anymore. He pulled Jay and I into a voice call so I could express myself without worry of being by myself. I stated I liked him as a friend, but he was moving way too fast for my comfort, and it takes me a good bit of time to develop those. As Jay was a repeat offender on blurring in character with out of character, Leon booted him from his Discord. He apologized respectively in DMs, and I had that character leave the FC, change her name and server to leave that behind. Sadly, that was not the case. I found out that someone whom I thought was a friend to Leon and I was also in both FCs and Discords, was reporting back to Jay anything that I did. When I temporarily left Leon's FC to join a RP1 a short time later while sitting in that FC's Discord, I noticed a new member that looked damned familiar. I clicked on the profile and sure enough, it was Jay. I DM'd the FC/Discord owner stating, this is the guy who bled out of character with in character, and I do not feel comfortable being in a Discord or a FC with him in it because of this. This must have fallen on deaf ears, or this mutual friend probably stated I was making up shit as he was in there till I left. I removed him from all friends and blocked him on Discord, and when I stated what was going on to Leon about Nala, he removed her from the Discord as it was known she liked to metagame and report stuff back to Jay. Until recently, I noticed him seeming to pop up wherever I was in Ulda, whether on Jay or one of his many alts, until someone showed me his lodestone and his friends list on that character. There it was, my characters who had changed names and fantasiaed, all of Leon's he knew of, including the former Balmung alt, some of Leon's best friends, Zira's characters, and others who left from harassment or not returning his feelings. I tried repeatedly to add him to a block list, but Final Fantasy XIV wouldn't let me unless I have interacted with him recently while he can have my characters on his friends list and track their every move. Because of this, I usually only RP now with certain people and now use Fade to Black. I am still in Leon's Discord, and now both characters are in there. The end. What are my thoughts about this story?
Oh my god.
Y'all need Jesus.
We need Heidelin.
No, to be fair, like, everyone has their own thing. I respect that this is their, everyone's thing. But dude, that Jay guy was like a dog. Dude, like, Jay wanted it all.
Yeah.
He was like, I want to have 4 wives. I want to do whatever I want with any girl in this RP world.
Yeah.
And I want to have you watch. I want to get you pregnant. I want to watch you two do it.
Oh
like,
he
wanted it all. And it was wild. And oh my God, whatever sexual act he did on the voice call, that would have been awkward as hell.
Yeah, I think that's the point. That's the point. Whenever it's just inside the game, inside the roleplay environment, you can go crazy as you want. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I really don't care. Even if I would be in for RP and say like, hey, I don't like you. I don't like the way of how you roleplay, or I don't like how your backstory is written, or how you interact with other characters in role-playing environments. Leave me be, okay? But as soon as the boundaries are fading and real life comes into play, and this J dude is kind of reflects all the stuff he lives in the Final Fantasy world into the real world, there is a big problem, and did some very strange acts on Discord, sexual acts on Discord. I think this is exactly the reason why I don't do roleplay. It's full of weird people. I appreciate everyone having some fun doing it, getting out their creativity or being inspired by this for other creative acts they do in their real life or anything like that. But Medieval Marty, you're right. Just fight bosses and loot chests. Be very careful. It's really fun on the surface, but once you get one level deep, you're in a world of weird. I think this is exactly a story that could be the perfect example of what we had with the bad or evil Final Fantasy XIV community last week. Somebody got harassed, stalked, whatever, from an RP session like this, or the interaction with other players in role-playing environments, and then got harassed out of the game and wanted to do World of Warcraft again. It's really problematic. I think you should be careful with what you do. The boundaries can really fade very quickly. Let's hear the conclusion of Pathra again.
I would have just like hung up. Like,
yeah.
I mean, first of all, I wouldn't even be in that situation.
Exactly.
Because I don't do art role playing or anything. But like, if I was there, I would have been like, what the fuck is doing? He's literally doing sexual acts, and I can hear it. I'm leaving. No.
Not even post-nut clarity could stop him. Yeah, that's a very sad fact.
Gone. You know what's
he must be crazy from the heart.
I just want to say also is that the fighting parts where it's like, I will fight. We will duel for the lady.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
It was so cute. Like, where are you guys doing this? Is it in the PvP arena? You know, that little section where you can like practice? Is that where you guys were fighting? I want to know. Yeah, Wolf's Den. That's so funny. It's a whole new world with role playing, you know? Basically, yes. Jay needs to touch grass and nobody else. Every day we stray further from Heidelin. Not even post-nut clarity could stop him. I was not prepared to read that part where like you heard him doing sexual acts. Oh my god. I was like, I was dying.
I don't want to imagine this actually.
To put this
I don't want to.
And read it to everyone. I hope you like that I gave all of his wives Lion King female names. Yo, look. I'm another one of the now former spouses. Hello. I am tempted to tell my side. Dude, I've always wanted this. I always wanted that if I posted a story up on my YouTube, someone who is familiar with the story will be like, yo, I know this story. I'm going to say my side. And that's a part 2, baby. We got part 2. Hot mic Discord wank would be a good title. You all need Heidelin. Yeah, I should have said that.
Holy shit. The comments are great.
Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this Final Fantasy XIV drama story. If you have any of your own drama stories that you'd like me to share and read out anonymously, feel free to reach out to my Discord, discord.gg/Pathra.
Yeah.
And if you would like to support the content by tipping, feel free to join and become a YouTube member with some perks.
Absolutely. If you have any drama story or story that happened to you personally with other players in Final Fantasy XIV, I think Pathra is the way to go. She does this for quite a long time already. So yeah, if you have a story like that, try to connect to her and send it over. Let me give you a reality check to conclude this crazy story. So let's sum it up. We had one person that kind of wanted to engage with 4 other people. At least having more than one partner is always a problematic situation. Everybody has to be on the same idea, with the same ideology. The thing is here, the big problem with role-playing is that some people cannot separate this. It's not like, hey, this is role-playing. I'm just doing my art. I'm just talking with good stories with other players. You're creating these spaces of role-playing inside of the game or anything, maybe even above the game in pictures or Discord like they had here. The thing is, though, some people that kind of are disconnected to whatever boundaries they have in their real life tend to have these limits or these connections fade, so that the separation between game and your life gets faded so quickly. So, for example, the character you have in game that is your in-game wife that kind of claims to love you or love your character, you fall in love with. That happens quite often. So before that happens, be careful about your own feelings and reflect yourself that it's, either you really fall in love with that player because of how the player is writing to you, how the player is from the personality, the character, but maybe they are so good at role-playing that it's really just an established character they created and it's not their own character. The thing is, there are so many variables that are not checked and you don't know about when you're just meeting somebody online. That doesn't mean that you can't find your true love, your true romance online and the perfect match for you, but it's way more dangerous than if you at least know somebody from certain ways of dealing with life or dealing with daily life situations or how they interact with your friends, how they interact with your family. That's all these check marks you have to check out. That's the natural process of having a relationship. You attend to your partner's parents or you attend to your partner's friends and you check if that's working with you, if you accept these friends or something like that. You don't have this here. It's way more anonymous, and that's the problem. If you fall in love with somebody, you want to know this person. Nevertheless, you are absolutely right. This is a degenerate, and some people that are this way, I don't want to play with, I don't want to role play with, and I don't want to hang out on Discord. So if you ever face this situation and you get harassed by somebody like that, just cut the cords. You don't want to be around with these people, really. I think this person actually needs some serious help from a therapist or something like that. In all honesty, I don't want to devaluate role-playing here, but some people need Jesus. All right, still very, very cool story. I think it's very funny to read this out, even though it's kind of an actually serious topic, and that person might have had a very hard time facing these experiences or facing these people like this J dude here. Yeah, hopefully he will touch some grass and not other players again. What role do you play? Answer jerk. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, nonetheless, a very cool video. If you have any story like that, kind of connect to Pathra. She reads these out in a very cool way. I love these. Yeah, it's crazy. Role-playing is dangerous. Be careful out there, guys, and don't stray too far away from Heidelin. That's all I can say.